And welcome, class, to Chapter 1, Computer Security Fundamentals. As we focus here with Chapter 1, these are our our chapter objectives that we are going to focus on as we move through. In terms of introduction, we want to think about computer systems and networks and the fact that literally they are everywhere. We have online banking, ATMs, debit cards. We have eBay, Amazon, half.com for textbooks, automated supermarket checkouts, online shopping, online travel resources. We have Expedia, Travelocity, airplane e-tickets. Literally, everywhere we turn, we have systems, networks. And so we want to think about, how is my online personal information safeguarded, right? In terms of passwords, all of those account numbers. What are the vulnerabilities to these systems, such as various website securities? And what steps ultimately are taken to ensure that these systems and data are safe? So, for example, encryption, SSL. We're asked, how seriously should you take threats to network security? Which group do you think that you would put yourself in? That no one is coming after me or my computer? Prove to me that I'm at risk. We have those in the sky is falling group, which in some aspects may be perceived as paranoia, and some that are of the mindset, prove to me that I am not at risk. And then we have those middle grounders, so to speak, with an educated awareness of the ultimate true risk. We have various computing risks that we have here, starting with exposure factor, single loss expectancy, annualized loss expectancy. And so we think, what is that annualized loss? Your yearly cost ultimately due to a risk. We have some basic formulas that are provided for how we might go about determining some levels of these risks. And as we move forward, we start to understand the various options by which we can maneuver through risk. We have mitigation factors by which we can attempt to limit risk, all the way on the opposite side of the continuum, which is acceptance, where we accept the risk. Perhaps we accept the risk without taking precaution. Perhaps we accept the risk by taking precaution. When we think about the various types of threats, we have malware, and so we think about malicious software, which is the most common threat to our system. We have intrusions, which is an attempt to gain unauthorized access to your system. And we have DOS, or denial of service attacks, or an attempt to deny authorized users access to the system. Either way, none of these are good. Moving forward with malware, software with a malicious purpose. And so here, for example, we have a virus. No, not that virus such as the sinus infection, but a different type of virus. A small program that replicates itself and hides itself inside other programs. Most likely and usually without our knowledge. There are those Trojan horses, or a malicious program disguised as something desirable or harmless. And the all too familiar spyware, which is the fastest growing category of malware. The virus, one of the two most common types, usually spreads itself through unsuspecting users' email. Even without malicious payload, rapid replication uses system resources, which ultimately cause that slowdown or the stoppage within the network. We have the Trojan horse. The other most common kind of malware, and named after the famous wooden horse of ancient history. It disguises itself as something benign, perhaps even something you need or want. So, for example, a game, a screensaver, an account logon. Ultimately, it captures your information and returns it to the intruder. Spyware, again, the most rapidly growing type of malware. Two examples here: cookies. Not the chocolate chip, but cookies initially are a good idea to help users surf the web, but are now oftentimes misused to spy on users. And we have the keylogger, both in software and hardware, and captures all of the user's typing and logs it. In turn, capturing passwords, account numbers, credit card numbers, and anything that you can imagine as those keystrokes are made. We have what's called the logic bomb. Ultimately, laying dormant until some type of a logical condition is met, and so often a specific date. Intrusions are attacks that break through your system's resources without authorization. Hackers, early internet joyriders, by intent, we have crackers, which are system intruders with malevolent intent. We have social engineering, intruding into a system using human nature, not necessarily technology. And then we have war driving around looking for unprotected wireless networks, which is why we should always have passwords and have other features, systems, controls over our networks. In a denial of service attack, the attacker does not actually intrude into the system, but just blocks access from authorized users. And so as a business, it keeps your customers from purchasing on your website, denying you sales. It keeps your employees from purchasing e-tickets to a trade show, making them use a travel agent, which costs more money than you had planned. It keeps you from transferring the money from your business line of credit to your business account to pay for the tickets, causing your account to be overdrawn. The attacker does not actually, again, intrude the system, but just continues to attempt to block authorized users. Another example, session hijacking, which involves actually taking over an authenticated session. With DNS poisoning, this involves altering DNS records on a DNS server to redirect client traffic to malicious websites with the ultimate intent for identity theft. Thinking about assessing the likelihood of an attack on your network, viruses are the most common network attacks. Check any AV vendor website to catch up on the new and refurbished viruses. Make sure that you are consistently aware of those. Unauthorized use of systems is the next most common attack. And so again, DOS attacks, intrusions, and then employee misuse, which could be accidental or deliberate. When we look at basic security terminology, we start with people. And so hackers, anyone who studies a system through analyzing its flaws. We've got the white hats, consider themselves the good guys. Black hats or crackers are definitely the bad guys. Gray hats, not necessarily a common term, but refers to individuals who operate outside of the law on occasion. We have script kiddies who are inexperienced, consider themselves hackers, but only copy the work of others. And then we have the ethical hackers, consultants who are hired to do vulnerability assessments on company systems. In essence, they're attempting to hack the system as paid agents of the organization. When we think about firewalls, we find those in a router or a server, or even as a standalone device, filtering ingress and egress of network traffic. A proxy server sits between a client and an application, acting as the host on your network and disguising the IP address of your internal host. And then intrusion detection system, IDS, monitors traffic, looking for those attempted attacks. Continuing on with additional basic security terminology, we have what's known as phreaking, which is a subspecialty of hacking, breaking into telephone systems. Authentication, a process to determine if the credentials given by a user are authorized to access system resources. And then we have auditing, process of reviewing logs, records, and procedures to ensure that established standards are being met. Ultimately, a very tedious but critical aspect of basic security. Looking at network security paradigms, think about how will you protect your network. We have a perimeter security approach, and so perimeter defense is the most popular because it is used to be clearly defined. But as companies hire mobile workers, home workers, contract workers, that perimeter is becoming less and less clearly defined. We have layered security approach where not only the perimeter, but separate sections of the network itself are protected to the security level assigned to them. We have proactive versus reactive. Are your security measures active or are they passive? Do you have a security plan, or are you part of someone else's plan to intrude on you? And the hybrid security method, only a thorough and ongoing risk assessment and vulnerability can keep you informed about what combination of postures will benefit your network the most. Here are a number of resources that discuss legal issues and the impact on network security. Again, additional online resources. These are extremely important as we continue to move through the rest of our course over the next 7 weeks. And ultimately leading to our summary, which gives you a number of thoughts to take with you as we move into the next components of our week. Looking forward to meeting with you again to start reviewing Chapter 2. Until then, take good care.